You're listening to the Adventurous Reinvention Podcast. I'm Allison Boyle, aka She Dreams of Alpine, and this is the show that's dedicated to all the adventurous spirits out there who have either been transformed by the outdoors or are interested in what it looks like to step into a new, adventurous, and courageous kind of identity in their life. It doesn't matter what your background is in the outdoors, what age you're starting at, or where you grew up. If you're curious about the outdoors and using adventure as a way to reinvent yourself, you're in the right place. I'll be sharing all kinds of personal adventure stories, lessons I've learned from the mountains, teaching what I know about the outdoors and leadership, and interviewing some amazing adventurous women all along the way. I've been coaching women on becoming safe, confident, and self-sufficient backpackers and leaders of their own adventurous lives since 2018, and I know exactly what big fears and self-doubts can pop up along the way. I have so much to share with you, so let's dive in. Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the Adventurous Reinvention Podcast. Today, you are listening to episode 27. And today, I'm doing something a little bit different than I've done in my past episodes. We are actually in the middle of enrollment for our Adventurous Reinvention Experience. This is one of our signature programs that we have here at She Dreams of Alpine. It's basically a program that blends personal growth and actually going on an in-person adventure together into like one powerful experience. So we work together in a 4-month kind of container where we do weekly coaching and we spend the summer thinking about creating a life that makes you feel as alive as you do on the trail. And at the end of our time together, we bring it all to life with an epic in-person backpacking adventure. And today I'm actually bringing on one of our past Adventurous Reinvention Experience clients from one of our past trips. So we've been running this program for 2 years now. And so today you're going to get to hear all from my client, Kahla, who actually was on one of our very first Adventurous Reinvention Experience programs. And you are going to get to kind of hear the behind the scenes of what brought her to our program, the experience that she had during the program, during our coaching, during our in-person trip, all of the things related to this experience and what life has been like for her after this experience. So I hope you'll enjoy the conversation that I had with her today, and that if you are considering to join us in the Adventurous Reinvention Experience, that this will give you some clarity on whether this is the right program for you. If you are interested to learn more about the Adventurous Reinvention Experience, you can go to shedreamsofalpine.com/ARE. I will also drop that into the show notes. And yeah, let's just dive into today's episode. All right. Welcome, Kahla. We are so happy to have you on the Adventurous Reinvention Podcast. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Allison.
Yeah.
Great opportunity.
Yes, I'm so excited to get to chat with you. It's not very often I get to have clients or students on the podcast, so it's really fun to kind of get to talk to you. And I think I've mentioned this before because a couple other Adventurous Reinvention Experience people have been on the podcast, but I just think this is such a great opportunity for people to kind of get a behind the scenes looks at what motivated you to join, what were your biggest struggles, what were kind of some of your biggest takeaways, how are you feeling now? So I really appreciate you coming to share a little behind the scenes with us. It's going to be fun. Yeah. So before we dive into all the things, let's start with a quick kind of introduction. I'm curious if you could kind of take us back, because you were part of our 2023 experience, our very first Adventurous Reinvention Experience. So what was going on in your life when you first kind of came across this experience, and what made it feel like a yes for you when you joined?
Yeah, so I was walking through a few things in my life. One of them was trying to learn how to be a backpacker.
Yes.
So I did sign up for your Backpacking Badass program back in 2021.
Yes.
And I think it took me about a year to get through that program and kind of buy all of my gear. And then I signed up for a couple of trips because I really wanted to go on a group trip to be my first one. I wasn't super brave enough to do solo quite yet. And then one trip ended up getting canceled, and another one I ended up getting COVID. And this was a group trip through REI. So I was super disappointed about that. And it was just maybe a couple of months after that I saw the ARE program.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, this is going to be perfect because who else to go backpacking with for the first time than
I'm
my
so glad.
yes,
Yeah.
my coach. And then also that year you were offering like to summit some 14ers. So that was
Yeah.
something definitely I've never done before. Like I did not grow up around the mountains or anything like that. So mountains very new to me.
Yeah.
Uh,
You're in Florida, right?
yes, I'm
Yeah.
currently in Florida
Florida
and
base.
from Texas. So I
Okay.
also have so related to your story of just being in that Texas environment
Mm.
was not super outdoorsy at all. Like West
Yeah.
Texas flatlands, Florida flatland. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so not around that. So I became interested in backpacking with an awesome group of women with a coach to kind of learn. So that's
Yeah.
really what first like piqued my interest with the program.
Yes.
And then also kind of on the coaching piece, like the reinvention, I think I remember even getting on a call with you and being like, what do you mean
What do you
by
mean by this? Yeah, it's such a big word. Like sometimes it feels like
yeah,
I'm not maybe ready for like a whole life overhaul, but it's not necessarily what it has to be. It's really kind of like an introspective, you can make it what you want it to be. Like some people, I feel like even part of their reinvention is the outdoor aspect. Like they want to step into that more. And I think you were like there a little bit too. It's like, I want to take this and I want to step more into like my leadership and like knowing for sure, like I feel solid in this.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. You
Yeah.
just hit it right on point because a lot of my outdoor adventures has been with scuba diving. So that's one of the reasons
Yes.
I'm here in Florida is was to hone in on scuba diving skills and I was always curious about like hiking and the outdoors and like the land piece of adventure and
Yeah.
going there. So yeah, I really wanted to learn there. And then also just in my life, like there were just some changes I felt like I wanted to possibly make especially like just analyzing my career and was like, well, is it time to get like a side hustle? And so I was
Right.
just I need to reinvent that. But
Yeah. Like
yeah,
and be really open. I feel like that's a really good place to be in when you join this program. I mean, some people like know exactly like I know exactly what I want to work on, but I think it's a
yeah,
really good place just to be open and kind of see what unfolds for you. That's been like the coolest thing for me to watch you guys is like how you take what we are doing in that program and like what unfolds for you out of that experience. I feel like so many people have told me their stories how like they didn't expect something to come out of it and it surprised them. So, yeah. I think that's a really great place. So you were kind of mentioning in your story in this little background that you had joined the backpacking badass program, but you were looking to do this was still your first trip, right?
right. This is still my first trip.
Okay.
So yeah, I had signed up for some trips through REI. They just did not work
Yeah.
out.
Yeah,
Um,
because you really wanted to kind of like hone in on like doing it with a group first, and I'm guessing like in Florida, you probably didn't have a much of a backpacking community to go with.
yeah, no, not at all. It's very hard to find people who want to go out into the Everglades and go
Yeah.
backpacking there, but definitely
Which
hard to find people to travel with and backpack. So
now, if I'm remembering correctly, like ironically, there were like two Florida people
yeah.
in your group in Adventurous Reinvention Experience. So you guys, I know we'll talk about that later, but I know like I think you connected with more people like after that experience.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, okay. So it was your very first time backpacking. You're not new to adventure though, because you were like a badass scuba diver. You're like an instructor, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I really focused on it in my 20s, was like, I'm all in on the scuba diving thing. I'm moving out of West Texas, the desert, to the ocean and
Yes.
fully embrace that. So
Love it.
yeah, it
That's
wasn't
a
until
little
like,
reinvention of
yeah,
your 20s. Yeah,
exactly. Exactly. So the 30s was like, it's time to explore a little bit more of the outdoor adventure.
totally. I
That's
love
awesome.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And so Kayla, just like some background, she joined the beginner group in our Adventurous Reinvention experience. But that year in particular, in 2023, we were doing, for both groups, we were attempting summits. And her group was attempting Mount Langley, which is like a 14er in California, really awesome peak. We considered it a beginner trip, even though like the 14er aspect was a stretch out of people's comfort zone, but like it was optional. So if people didn't feel like doing the 14er that day, they could rest and relax at base camp. But then there was a small group of us, and Kahla was one of them, kind of spoiler, that did go and do the summit. So we'll talk about that a little bit more, but just kind of a little bit background because all of our ARE Adventurous Reinvention Experience trips are a bit different each year. So, okay, let's dig into kind of more of the whys. We talked about a little bit like, yeah, you were looking for change. We actually already kind of talked about this. Sorry, y'all. I'm like looking at my notes. So, okay, let's back up. Like what were you most nervous about? Like, or were you? I mean, I don't want to project. Like, what were you most nervous about going into this experience and opportunity?
Yeah, I think I was more excited than nervous. I
Yeah.
think the part where I got nervous was towards closer to the backpacking trip.
Right. I feel like
Yeah.
I remember reading that in your like after survey. Yeah. The 2 weeks, the 1 to 2 week before time period, I'm telling y'all, it's the
Yeah.
time everyone panics. It's the pre-trip panic. Yeah, it's totally normal.
It's a thing. And even
Yeah.
the night before, I was
Yes.
definitely questioning all of my choices. So
Yes. You're like, why am I doing this? This is it's so nervous. So, yeah, this is a really good. I think I actually talked about this with another, maybe it was Jen or but maybe Jen and Marta, but like if you have the pre-trip panic, it's normal. Whether it's in your own trips or if you decide to join us on ARE, it's very normal.
yeah.
Yeah, what was it like for you specifically? One thing in particular or just generally nervous?
Yeah, I remember the day before I got nervous because I got elevation sickness.
Ah, yeah.
You were really good at telling us like camp at elevation, get at elevation the day before.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I don't necessarily want to camp because I'll be camping for the next 5 days. Let me stay at
Yeah.
a hotel in that small town there at the base of the Sierras. And so we went on a day hike the
Mhm.
day before, and I'm like, this is great. I feel fine. So I start really pushing myself on the day hike. And then that's when I
Yeah.
got horrible migraine headache and I got a
Mm.
little nauseous. And even whenever we came back down to the town, I just remember like not feeling well. And so
Yeah.
like, that made me nervous of just, oh my goodness, am I going to get there? And if I feel like this, am I even going to be able to make it? And
First day at altitude's always the worst.
yeah, and I'm coming from sea level, Florida,
Yes.
and I probably only been at 10,000 feet like 3 times in my whole entire life at that point.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it was definitely an experience, but I'm glad that I still pushed through. Like I remember, I think I texted you or messaged you that day,
Yeah.
just hey, I'm not feeling well, just so you know. And you were very encouraging. So I was
Yeah.
like, okay, if she
Like
doesn't
this is
see
normal. Let's
worry,
keep going. Like
yeah,
sleep on
then
it.
I
You'll probably feel better tomorrow. Drink a lot of water, all the things.
exactly, yeah. So the day of, I still wasn't like 100%, but I
Right.
felt I was like, okay, let's go. And thankfully, it was not that
And you
experience.
went to 14,000 feet. So, that's a testament to it. But it was actually, what's really great about like that year, we learned a lot from doing those. That was our first time doing that experience. And so we actually have started building in an extra. I mean, like, even though we encouraged y'all to do acclimatization before like our trips, we've actually built in an extra day, like in that where everyone camps at altitude, like it's part of the experience because it's just like, yeah, it's easy for us to be like, well, I'm going to be camping all these days. I don't want to sleep at the trailhead. It sounds unsexy when I tell people to do that. Like it's just like, nah, I'll sleep in town, but it really helps. Yeah, it really helps.
Yeah, yeah, and me not really knowing
Yeah,
much
of course.
altitude, I was like, oh, it'll be
Yes. Yeah,
fine.
probably not a big deal. Like I feel fine so far. Yeah. Yeah,
So,
totally.
mhm.
Um, okay. So did you have any like hesit when you were thinking and considering like between beginner and intermediate group, like did you feel like pretty clear that you wanted to join the beginner group versus the intermediate?
Well, I really wanted to join the intermediate group. Like,
Mm.
I am one of those people that's like
Yeah, you're like, I want to push
the
myself.
tallest peak.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is what I want to climb up. Like, I
Yeah.
don't want to start as beginner. I want to challenge myself.
Yeah.
So I think when I signed up, there were probably like no spots left, or maybe
Oh,
there was
maybe.
two and people were already thinking of going there. And so it was really the beginner one that just kind of opened up. So I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I'll just trust that the beginner one is where I need to be.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I'm so glad that I chose the beginner group because it was,
I think it was a good fit for where you were at. Yeah.
yeah,
I think you
yeah,
could have done the intermediate too, but I think it like worked out really well.
I think so too. I mean, it was one of the best experiences I have had. So I am very grateful for it.
Yeah.
And it was still challenging. Like we still summited
It
a
was
14er.
challenging. Yes,
So
totally.
yeah.
Although that's something like I really love. Like I don't want to ever. I mean, anybody listening to this, like the beginner trip, they're always beginner trips, but I do always like to like push people a little bit out of their comfort zone. I like the idea of like y'all being able to go on any kind of trip and feel like it raises the bar for you a little bit. Like, oh, I never really like saw myself doing something like that, or like it just puts a new level out there for you because yeah, if it's like totally you're like, oh, 100% I could do that. Like I like you to question it a little bit and then like get you through that
yeah.
process. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
still a good trip.
Yeah. And I definitely felt that when,
Yes,
especially on the summit day, I was like, and I
for
really,
sure. Yeah, summiting a 14er. Yeah, definitely.
yeah.
Okay, was oh, I mean, we kind of talked about this, but I wrote down like, was there a moment along the way, like anytime throughout the experience, where you like, what did I sign up for? Was it just mostly that like pre-trip panic?
It was a pre-trip. And I think also, and we're talking about a lot about summit day, but it was also a moment on summit day. And I don't know if you remember this,
Oh,
but
tell me. I do forget. Or I might remember.
yeah, yeah. So I was nervous, obviously, because I've
Yeah.
never hiked up the mountain. And I think there was like a storm possibly rolling in. So I knew like we
Yes.
would be up there at a certain time and we had to get down quickly.
Yes.
And we were like almost to the top. And then we came to like this, from what I
Yeah.
remember, a big rock. And we had to like climb over the
It was
rock.
like a little class two, class three moves. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. There we go. And so at that point, I just start crying because I'm like, I don't know if I can do this.
Yeah.
And I remember you looked at me and you're like, just breathe. And I'm like, okay. And then I climbed over it and it was fine. But definitely in that moment, I had some little bit of anxiety. Like,
Yeah, totally.
oh, I could.
Yeah, I know. There was like sections. That's how Mount Langley is like for anybody like listening, just background, Mount Langley is it's considered like one of the easier 14ers out there in California and it's class 1. That's why they call it or is it class? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's labeled class 1, but there is like technically like a couple of spots on your way up to the summit where it's a little bit exposed. You'll want to use your hands and you're kind of climbing up some bouldery things.
Mhm.
And now you, Kayla, like you went rock climbing with us recently. You have like a little bit more experience with climbing now, but like back then I don't think you had much. And so that would feel scary for anyone doing that. Yeah, those moves.
Yeah.
I remember thinking that the very first time I did Langley, like back in 2017, I was like, okay, class 1. Like, it was definitely like a couple of moves there where you felt like, okay, I'm not going to fall here. Yeah.
That makes me feel a little bit better that there was
Yeah.
some two threes as I'm crying. So
Oh, for sure. Like if you don't cry on a summit, I feel like it's not the full experience. So I feel like you got the full summit experience.
yeah, I think I
Yeah.
did for sure.
I have cried on many summits, so you're in good company. Yeah, I do remember that period of time. But you killed it and I do feel like that was like a moment for you where you realized like I'm a badass. Like I can do
Yeah,
this.
I was so proud of myself after I climbed over that and I was like, heck yeah, I got through it. And then at that last, I think it was we only had like 700 feet left.
Yeah,
Our guide like announced it and that's when I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like
I'm doing
that's not too much. Like
it.
that's what I've
Right.
been practicing on these stairs here in Florida, 700 feet. So
Yes.
yeah, so I felt very just accomplished in that moment. It was really cool.
Yeah, it was such a cool summit. And we did it like just in time too. The group that decided to like there was a portion of our group that did decide to stay back because yeah, like altitude and just like not feeling up for it. I think that day was about 3,000 feet of gain, something around there to get to from our base camp to summit. So it would be like a lot of elevation gain. And there was maybe like 5 or 6 of us that ended up going to the summit.
Mhm.
And yeah, it was just kind of like put your head down and like hike. and step and step and step and step. And then like we finally made it to that last 500 feet. And I like all of y'all were all like, oh my, we're almost there. Like, yeah.
No, like we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it before the storm and
Yeah. Yeah. And
dying.
we were trying to beat like a timeline because there was a storm rolling in. So, and y'all did, y'all crushed it, like did amazing.
Yeah.
And we kind of even got views. Like I was
Hmm.
worried it was going to be too like stormy or cloudy, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't really much of about being on top of the summit. It
Yeah.
was like so quick.
Yeah, it was.
I saw a little bit of the views. We took our pictures, and then we were like, okay, now we have to run down to
Yeah.
the store.
Yeah,
So that was
exactly.
also an experience of running down the mountain, but
We're
it was
like, let's go fast.
yes.
That is like how summiting 14ers is you're just like, unless you get lucky and you have like the perfect weather, but you're like trying to beat the weather.
Yeah.
Totally.
So I'm glad I got to experience it.
Yeah, it's awesome. Okay, let's talk about a little bit about the coaching side, and then we'll kind of go back into the backpacking side of the experience. So for you, I know like when you originally joined, a lot of it was about around like kind of outdoor mentorship, and you were kind of like staying open to like what you wanted to explore in your life and things that were going on. But what was like your experience doing the coaching side of the program? Were there any like lessons or exercises or things that really surprised you or stuck out to you during that experience?
Yeah, there was. I mean, I don't want to steal any thunder.
Yeah.
So, but I remember a couple of exercises. One was you had us to ask like people we admire.
Yes.
Yeah, like the positive things about us that they see, and also maybe like areas of opportunity.
Right. Yeah. We were doing identity work, like trying to see how, like, well, like, yeah, I had you ask people to give their opinions on certain things about you. But then it was almost like us, like, what do we think about what they're saying about us? It was like this layered thing. Yeah.
Yes. And like I've done so many of those exercises through
Yeah.
like leadership classes. And it's like, okay, now I need to work on, these negative things or areas of opportunity. But it wasn't that at all. It
Yeah.
was how much are you caring about what this person thinks about you?
Right.
And how is
Yeah.
that impacting and defining your life? And
Yeah.
so that really made me think like, oh, am I basing my life off of what people I admire think about me or like what
Yeah.
my true values and my identity. So I thought that was
Right.
a cool exercise.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
like that one too. Like a lot of times I think about it too, even positively. Like when people give you like a positive feedback or like praise, and you're like, oh, wow, me. And like, how attached am I to like people giving me that kind of like feedback? Am I like making that like I'm hinging a lot of like my happiness around specific types of way people view me? And is that holding me back in any particular way? But yeah, it's a really interesting exercise. Yeah.
Yeah. So even to this day, I still have to think of the people I admire. Like, am I really
Right.
living based off of their thoughts or of what my values are? So I really liked that exercise.
Cool.
Uh, And then another thing was, I think it was during a time that you were actually coaching me on something. I think we had to write down, like, explore things that we've always wanted to
Mm.
do.
Yeah.
And so one of them was like live in Maine. And
Oh,
yeah, you were like, and I said, well, I can't really live in Maine because of XYZ. Like, I need to be here in South Florida because of all these reasons. And you were just like, well, why can't you do both? And it was, oh, I haven't thought about that. So
right.
another takeaway from that was like how much am I limiting my just
The
life
options.
thoughts and options? Yes, exactly. Because of what is like normal based
Right.
on like the culture or what we think is like normal for a normal life. And so
Yeah.
it just really got me to thinking like what options could be out there for me and what I'm limiting myself on. So
Yeah,
that was
totally. Like so many times we're like, I can either have A or I can have B. And it's like there's like so many variations, like thinking like we could combos. Cause I think you had like a good reason. You liked your reasons for like wanting to be in Florida, but we were like, well, also it doesn't mean we have to give up on the other thing. Like, you know,
yes.
entirely if we don't want to, unless you wanted to.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's a good one too. Um, did you feel like this process, like what when you kind of came through the end of it, was there anything in particular that you were like hoping to step into, or you're like give you clarity around some direction that you were going in your life?
Yeah. So I really embrace kind of like the outdoor adventurist in me.
Yes.
And then also something that I wrote down in the middle of the program was like, I want to do like endurance races. Like I really
Oh,
enjoyed like training for the backpacking and
yeah.
like, yeah, so I just kind of embraced like I'm signing up for a half marathon. So I think as soon as it was done, I signed up for the half
Yeah.
marathon and
Wait,
started.
have you been doing endurance races since then?
Well, I've only done one because I
Okay.
did have some health problems
Yeah,
right
yeah.
after, but
Okay.
thankfully that's almost done. And so
Well, and I
I
know you did rock climbing this year too. So you're like
yeah,
stepping into like learning a little bit more about that.
yeah, and that was an idea that popped in my mind during the Adventurous Reinvention program was, well, I've
Yeah.
always wanted to know how to rock climb too. And so
Yes.
I wrote both of those down, like endurance and rock climbing. And I'm thankful that since the end of the program, I've been able to like try out both of those things. And then now with
Yeah.
rock climbing, like next weekend, I'm going to go check out the rock climbing gym here. And so I'm excited to
Yes.
continue like embracing that new adventure. And
Yeah.
yeah, we'll see where the endurance racing goes. Thankfully, I'll be able to start doing that again soon. So,
Yeah, yeah. And endurance racing has like always been cool. I I remember there was this, like one point in my life where I never like identified as a runner, and then I lost a bet to Michael for some reason. I can't remember what the bet was, but my not punishment, but my like what do you I don't know. I lost, so I had to run a half marathon because that was like our agreement. And then I was like, oh, I maybe like running. I don't know what it is. Like going through the process of like trying to become a runner kind of transform my identity around that. And I went up to like 21 miles, I think, and then I pulled back. And yeah, it's a lot of work to be, yeah, and
it is
yeah,
a lot of work. The races are definitely tough. Well, I only did
but
one
it's
race.
very
But
rewarding. Like it's very cool. Like if you build up that endurance for it. So
yeah, it's amazing
that'd
what
be
your body
cool.
can do. So,
Yeah.
like, not only that, but also like backpacking more like
Right.
more
Yeah.
trips and like
Which
really.
you have done some backpacking trips since the experience, correct?
Yes, I
Yeah.
have.
Yeah.
So I went out with, I think you said it in the beginning, I did
Yeah.
meet somebody in the
Another Florida. Yeah.
area. So she lives just a couple of hours north of me in Orlando, and we were able to get together and do a backpacking trip shortly after the ARE
Yeah. It
trip.
was like, I feel like y'all told us about it like shortly after that you went on another trip, which is really cool.
Yeah, it was really, really cool. And so that's something also like I was looking for was just that community of
Yes.
outdoor people. So it was really cool how that was that happened out of the
Yeah,
ARA program. Yeah. So I think there will be more trips we go on, which is
for
exciting too.
sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
and there's actually like quite a few of y'all in the backpacking badass program that are in Florida. Just FYI, if you're ever looking for more. I'm pretty sure there's like quite a few Florida people in the group. That's just like a side note.
Yeah, I'll put a note in the community. Like we've been
Yeah. So, okay. Let's jump back. I know we're kind of like jumping back and forth, but what what was like your biggest concerns when you were newer to backpacking, but you weren't like you knew stuff about backpacking? What were your biggest fears going into this backpacking trip? As far as it came to like, yeah,
Yeah, so one of the fears was like filtering water.
yeah,
Like, am I gonna know how to do it? What if I do it wrong? What if I get sick?
mm,
So there's
yeah,
all of those thoughts. Bears was also a concern for me. So
yeah.
was
I remember a lot of y'all saying that, and I kept reassuring you. I'm like, it will be very rare if we see a bear, but it'll also be okay.
yeah, you did. It was me asking probably a lot, but you reassured
No,
us
you
like
weren't the only one. I remember that group, like a lot of y'all had bear concerns.
yeah. Yeah. So it was the bears, it was the filtering water. Um, I think that was the main thing. I was also afraid of just being slower than everybody else.
Right.
And
Yeah. Which is literally everybody's biggest concern. Yeah, on these
yeah,
group adventures, like so normal to feel that way.
yeah. And then it was like everything was fine. Like there were sometimes you were slower and sometimes you were one of the fastest. Like it just
Right. It ebbs and
all
flows.
encouraged each other throughout the whole entire time. So it was
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah.
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 And how do you feel about water now?
Oh, much more confident.
Yes.
How
Yeah,
to
I think
build.
it's like such a weird concept if you've like never done it before. You're like, I'm gonna drink river water? What do you mean? Like,
Is this filter really going to work? And what if I'm filtering out of the wrong
right.
place?
It's
A
like kind
little
of
muddy
confusing at
river right
first.
here. Yeah.
Yeah. And we didn't see any bears, so
Didn't. No, no. So all the fears did not come true, which was great.
yeah,
So
I mean, it's good to be bear aware in that area. Like, it's just, it's not very typical to see them quite where we were, but and the black bears in the Cal and those mountains are like pretty skittish of people.
yeah.
But it's like, yeah, good to have a healthy fear and awareness of bears out there.
Yeah.
So, looking back at this experience, like, what was probably your most challenging part of the trip?
Hmm. I think the most challenging was it was on the 14er. I think
Yeah.
it was that part, like right before the rock and having to climb up it and
Yes.
just yeah, just
I
having to
mean, that
push.
makes sense. That's kind of what I would expect you to say. Yeah.
Yeah. But you know what? There was another part too that it was kind of in the beginning. I think part of the trail was cut off, so we couldn't go on like the trail that we had mapped out. And so the guide had to like find a way up like this. It was like a
For the
grass.
14er day?
Yeah, the 14er day. And it was like when we just started. And so
Oh, yes. Oh, I remember this.
yeah, it was like a
Oh,
little bit steep.
I think it was like water. I think that was that year there was so much snow. And so the water levels were like way higher than they've been in a long time. So like the typical way we were going to go was no longer like wasn't as safe. So we had to like kind of cut through into a different area to get onto the trail. Yeah, I do remember that now.
Yeah. Yeah, and I remember because we just started and we were hiking on terrain that I definitely had never hiked up before.
Right. Yeah.
And
And it was a
it
bit
was,
slippery.
it was a little slippery,
Yeah.
yes, and it felt steep to me. It may not have been steep, but it felt like
It
it.
was steep. It was steep. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and I remember getting kind of out of breath, and like that's kind of when the first sort of like mind drama
Yeah.
happened.
You're like, is it going to be like this the whole way up?
Yes,
Yeah.
but then my favorite part happened like right after that. So I don't know if we
Mhm.
remember, like as soon as we got off of that like ledge thing, it like opened up into like this like
Yes.
meadow of like
It's this like
boulders.
private meadow, like nobody was there. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And that's when I had that thought too of just, wow, I don't think very many people have probably seen this. And
Yeah.
if they have, they probably haven't seen it quite like this because the sun was rising and there was the
Right.
flowers and the little stream. It was just gorgeous.
That
So
area was really pretty. I remember we spent like once we got off Langley, we spent a bit of time like chilling there and like relaxing
yeah,
before we
that's
went
right.
officially all the way down. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
that
So
was a really cool time.
that was cool. So that was like the first like difficult part of summit day.
Yeah.
Um, but then going into that meadow, I was like, wow, that was worth it. All that suffering
Yes.
was worth
The
it.
highs and lows are real, especially on a summit day. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So
So, what did you like? I don't remember. I know you were struggling with altitude sickness, like when you came into town, but did you have many issues coming in your first day after we kind of got started with the first day of the trip?
no, I mean, I felt more tired than
Yeah.
like, well, especially more tired than my normal hiking around here, like in Florida when I was doing my training.
Yeah.
And I think that probably was the elevation.
For
And so
sure.
I
It
just went
definitely.
much slower than I
Yes. Yeah.
had
First
the
day is
training.
always slower.
Yeah, yeah. So I just listened to my body and did whatever it told me to do, slow
Yeah.
down. Um, but yeah, I
And we
felt
had a
pretty
bit of
good.
elevation gain that first day too with y'all's group.
Yeah,
It was like
yeah, we did.
1,500 feet or something. Yeah.
And only like 4 miles or something, I think. So it
Yeah,
just,
but still, it's like it can feel tough, like your first day, you haven't adapted to altitude, and yeah,
yeah, yeah. But it wasn't too bad. I think mainly that first like 2 days, and then after that, I felt pretty good. Um, yeah, I was tired. I wasn't sleeping very much, but it
Right.
was,
Yeah,
yeah, it
that
was still.
makes sense.
Hmm.
So you said your favorite memory of the experience or the trip, the backpacking trip was going into that meadow.
Yes, for
Yeah.
sure.
And probably summiting, I'm sure.
And summoning, yes.
Yes. It's
Summit.
kind of hard to pick favorite. I feel like I have favorites of like yeah, it's hard to pick like one favorite of any trip. There's
Yeah,
multiple
it
things. And we had a
is.
really great sunset that night, I feel like I remember.
Did.
Yeah,
Yes,
it was
yes.
awesome.
Yeah, I have a picture of it right over there of it.
Yeah.
So it was beautiful. And then even that lake on the first day and the
Yeah.
last day, like we camped right by this gorgeous lake, so you could go put your feet in the
Yeah, I
water and
loved that lake.
see. It was just,
It's really nice.
it was a really cool adventure.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
So you came into this experience, you didn't really know anybody beforehand. I mean, you guys kind of got to know each other a little bit over the summer with the like coaching calls and like seeing each other each week, but you didn't know anybody going into it. But how did you feel like you got to know the other women and like what was that experience of meeting the other women on this trip in person when you finally got to go do that?
Yeah, I felt because we had spent a couple of months, on the Zoom calls every
Yeah.
single week whenever they could join, that kind of helps with that transition. But
Yeah.
it was an immediate, like we were all in this together. Like it
Yeah.
was most of our first trips. Maybe people had been on a few other trips, but and I think that helped knowing that we have all been training together, we've
Yes.
all food prep together. And then meeting for that first time, it was actually like very exciting to meet everybody in person and to go on the little day hike and to talk through things in
Did
person.
you meet up with like did you carpool with anybody there?
I didn't, but I
But you
did.
met up when you got there.
I met up when I got there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So I wasn't able to carpool with anybody. But so the lady that was also from Florida, I
Yeah.
ended up doing a training hike with her before the trip. So I
Oh,
did get to meet
nice.
her in person and we did like a 7 mile hike on
I
the
love it when y'all are
Adventurous.
able to do that. When y'all sometimes like live in a similar area and can do that. That's fun.
Yeah, and then we hit it off. I mean, we got along very well and it
Yeah.
wasn't hurt or anything like that. So
Yeah.
I was really pleased about like our group was like solid, cool
Yeah.
women.
We've
Yeah.
had really good groups so far. Like I feel like I mean I imagine they all will be, but like I don't know the vibe is like everyone has clicked really well. So I feel like really grateful for that. Like everyone is really nice to each other and like welcoming and all those things.
Mhm.
So
And encouraging
yeah,
and yeah, it was great. I was very pleased with the people on the trip. It made it much better too, knowing that we were all getting along and encouraging one another. So,
yeah, totally.
mhm.
So, okay, final kind of like question about the experience, but what surprised, if anything, what surprised you the most about this experience, the Adventurous Reinvention experience?
Hmm.
Big question.
Yeah, that's a good question. The most I would have to say it was probably how much I did enjoy the backpacking trip. Like
Hmm.
I knew I'd probably like it, but I really liked it.
Yeah. You're
Um,
not the only person. Like I remember a few people joined, they were like, I just want to see if I'm gonna like backpacking. And then they ended up being like, I like
yeah,
it. I'm in. Like
yeah, I
yeah,
want to do this now.
yeah,
And but I want to summit mountains. Like I
yeah,
just want to climb all of them. And
yeah.
so I was surprised by that. That might have been the most surprising part. Yeah.
Ah, that's awesome. Okay. So life after ARE, it's been a couple years. We talked a little bit about it. But okay, yeah, we talked about like how your identity as an outdoorsy person has kind of shifted and you've been like doing new things. We talked about rock climbing a little bit. Um Kayla just went on a rock climbing retreat with us and like did really awesome. We went to rock Joshua Tree. So I'm super stoked because we haven't really like chatted since then to hear that you're going to check out a climbing gym and see what that's
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
Um, but is there, yeah, like what's been going on with you since ARE? What has that looked like for you in your daily life, your work, your adventures, things like that?
Yeah, so I've noticed that I've become a lot more confident, like in the hiking realm.
Yeah.
Like even after the trip, I led a hiking trip with a group of buddies who we went out to Utah and we just did like day
Oh,
hikes out
fun.
there. And yeah, and it was
Oh,
cool
was
how
this your Zion trip?
this is my Zion trip.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I got to do Angel's Landing
Fun.
and hiked all over Bryce and all over Zion. I mean, it was incredible. But
Yeah, that area is beautiful.
and they trusted me to like lead a lot of the hikes. And so
Yes.
okay. They were like, okay, if you did this backpacking trip, you could lead. And I just felt like so much more confidence.
Yeah.
And I would say there's been some confidence even in work. I just the sticker I think we got from the company, whoever guided us, they gave us some
Yeah.
stickers. I put that on my laptop. I was like, okay, I'm gonna remember that I can do these hard things.
Yes, totally.
So that's helped with just a good confidence boost with not only the outdoors, but also in a personal life too. And
Yeah.
like some of those takeaways that we discussed earlier, though
Yeah.
that still is in the back of my mind, but just throughout life.
Right.
So
Yeah, totally. And kind of like, yeah, just like I think for me, always one of the biggest takeaways is like anytime I go to the mountains, it's just like that reminder of like your summit day. It's like filled with highs and lows, and then like these reminders that like we can do hard things and like it's, part of the whole experience, like not just having one side of it be part of the experience. It's kind of the challenge and the triumph at the same time. So I love that. Um, yeah, okay. We talked about a lot of these things. We did a good job before I kind of jumped into this. So let's do some fun rapid fire questions. This is more just like I think it's kind of like fun for people to see other people's preferences on certain things. And so, what is your go-to trail snack, Kayla?
I say the chomps, the beef stick.
Ooh, chomps. Those are good. I do like those. Yes. High protein too. Yeah. With a
Mhm.
tortilla, like if you're backpacking, wrapped in a tortilla, the best.
That is best.
I
I
just like
think
hijacked your question. I was like, yes, and this and this. Yeah.
I ate a lot of that. Even a Joshua tree, I ate a lot of that.
Yeah, same. Okay, what's 1 to 2 top things on your adventure bucket list right now?
The Grand Canyon.
Ooh,
So
yes.
I want to do that next year. Yes, 100%.
Anything in particular or any route in particular, or you just know you want to go there?
I just know I want to go there. I
Yeah.
haven't planned an exact route or how that's all going to work yet. But yeah, that is
Mm,
a huge bucket list for me.
yes.
Hmm.
It's beautiful. You definitely should go. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, yeah. I've been there and I've only done like around the rim and hiked a little bit down, but I'm like, man,
Go into the canyon, baby.
I
Yeah.
have to camp at the bottom of this thing.
Yes. You're gonna love it.
Yeah, yeah.
Anything else?
I think the other one would be like backpacking Patagonia.
Mm,
Be incredible and
yeah,
just go to a different country and
totally.
backpack there, I think would be neat.
That would be awesome. I haven't been there either.
Yeah, I want to go.
So now that you are a backpacker, what is your favorite piece of gear that you feel like you couldn't hit the trail without?
Well, my stove because I like to eat.
Yes. I was going to say, actually, maybe the way I worded that question, it's like, well, there's a lot of gear I wouldn't hit the trail without. Like, what's your favorite piece of gear? Is it still the stove? It can be.
Because
There's
I
no
love
pressure.
coffee. Like coffee has to be it.
What kind of stove do you have, Kayla?
Oh gosh, I don't remember the name. The
Do you just
MSR.
have the pocket rocket?
I don't
Or
think
do you
so.
have like the one that's kind of like a jet boil sort of looking thing?
Oh, I have the pocket rocket.
Okay, the like more simple one.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's a great stove and
Hmm.
lightweight.
Hmm.
Good choice. Coffee's always great. What's one place that you would happily visit over and over and over again?
Maine.
Maine. Oh yes, the Maine theme. It's coming back into our consciousness. It wants attention.
It might want attention, maybe.
Yes. I need to go there. Like now you're hyping it up and I'm like, man, I need to go to Maine.
Yeah, I love
Once
it
in the
because,
fall.
well, the one time I did go there, it was the fall. So of course,
Oh
all
gosh, yes.
foliage and then the ocean is right there. And so that's
Yeah,
like
man.
perfect for me with both.
I love an ocean too.
Yeah, I hear
Yeah.
it gets really cold though, so I don't think I would like that. That's when I would need to come back to
Yes.
home.
Yeah, do that in the fall and admire the ocean. It's still like I still love being around the ocean even if it's cold for the like smell and the sound and like the view of it, even if I'm not getting into it. But yeah, with scuba diving, it might be a bit chilly.
Yeah, I definitely need a dry suit. Like that would be,
Yes.
yeah, the must.
So, what's your favorite way to celebrate after you've gone on a big adventure?
Definitely eating
Yes.
burger or pizza.
Yes, these are my things too.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever tasted as good a pizza in my life than
Oh
that
my
pizza we
gosh,
had
yes.
after our backpacking trip. It was amazing.
Everything is just like so much better after a backpacking trip. You're like, wow, this pizza,
Yeah,
it might be a 5 in the real world, but today it's a 10. You're like, it's so good.
I could eat it all.
I could eat it all.
Even
Um,
the salad tasted good, so it was great.
even what did?
The salad.
Oh yeah. Okay, actually, this is a legitimate point. Like when Michael and I did the John Muir Trail, like our through hike, and we were out there like 12 days, 22 days. We were craving salads versus like burgers or pizza because we just like hadn't eaten anything green for so long. And I remember we got this like salmon Caesar salad at this like deli place in Mammoth, or near Mammoth, after our trip, and it was like the best salad I'd had in a long time.
Yes, heck
So
yeah.
good. You're like, I'm craving
Body knows
something
what he's
fresh.
going to, yeah, you're
Yeah,
gonna crave the things that you need. Yeah. The salad.
exactly. So, okay. As we're kind of like wrapping up here, who do you think would be a good fit for the Adventurous Reinvention Experience? And what would you maybe say to somebody who feels stuck or unsure if this program is a good step for them?
Yeah, I think it's a good fit for anybody who wants to explore um maybe just different things in their life that's happening, or just wants to explore backpacking, especially if you're new to backpacking. But even if you're not new, like I would
Yeah.
totally sign up for the thing again because it was such an incredible experience, the coaching, the backpacking. So,
And we have different levels of like trips too. Like we have an intermediate group trip for people who are looking for like a different challenge, kind of challenge.
yeah. Yeah. So anybody who wants to challenge themselves, maybe try something new, like totally go for it. Even if you have any sort of hesitation, I would still like say yes because it's such a great experience.
Thanks, Kayla. And yeah, like anybody who is on the fence, and I've mentioned this in other podcasts before too, so sorry if I sound like a broken record if you've listened to the other ones, but if you do have hesitations or questions, like reach out. We're happy to have a conversation with you about it. Or if you're like wondering, am I a better fit for the beginner trip or a better fit for the intermediate trip? We can talk through like where you're at and tell you like what we personally think would probably be a better experience for you with where you're at. So happy to have those kinds of conversations. I can't remember if we ended up, yeah, we were talking about maybe it was about availability with your trip when you
Yeah.
joined Kayla, but yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So I would
awesome.
definitely encourage people, yeah, to just try it. It's a great program.
And it was like, it's been such a like, for me, this is just a side note. Like, it's so nice getting to know you guys better, like, especially, in the Backpacking Badass program, like knowing y'all's names sometimes and then getting to like go on these experiences with you has just been like awesome. And then Kayla getting to know you a little bit better, even more with the climbing and all the things. So it's like, I don't know, I feel really blessed to get like connected and meet you guys further. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really neat to work with you, like to work with you in the outdoors and to get not only the coaching through the Backpacking Badass program, but that real life coaching of,
Right.
and I also like how like you even helped us to meal prep. And like we
Oh,
made
yeah.
whole meals and we got together on a call and put our meals together.
Oh
Like you,
yeah, did you do the co-working session with me?
yes, I did. Yes.
Yeah, because I have to prep for 2 trips. So I'm like, I'm just going to be prepping food all day Saturday or like for 2 hours Saturday if anybody wants to like join. And some of y'all did. And that was really fun.
Yeah. And so I feel like I really like through the backpacking badass program, I've learned how to backpack, but now
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
even more confident
Yeah.
to like, go out solo. I feel like it's time for me to go solo now. And
Yeah. Oh yeah. We
yeah,
were talking about how that like might be one of your goals this year, right? Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
to small trail. maybe solos. So
Yeah, you
yeah,
can do it. I'm excited to hear about that.
yeah, I'll have to
Yeah.
let you
You will have to let me know. I will be eagerly awaiting to hear about that.
know.
But well, thank you so much, Kayla, for just jumping on the podcast here, having like open, vulnerable conversation about your behind the scenes and experience inside this program. I really appreciate you taking the time to kind of share what it was like for you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Allison.
Yeah. And anybody who's listening, if you have any questions about this experience or you want to follow up on anything, just reach out to us at support@shedreamsofalpine.com and we'll get you some answers about this program. So thanks again, Kayla, and I will talk to you guys all next week. Bye. Hey, I wanted to thank you real quick for tuning into the show and listening all the way to the end. If you love this episode and you want deeper support in becoming a safe, confident, and self-sufficient hiker and backpacker, then head over to shedreamsofalpine.com/waitlist to learn more about our Backpacking Badass coaching program, where I teach you absolutely everything you need to know to be self-reliant on the trails and stop waiting around on others for the adventure invite. So I'd love to help you more in your journey of stepping into your adventurous identity, and that program is the absolute best place for us to start working together. So again, that's shedreamsofalpine.com/waitlist, and you can learn all about it there. So that's it for today, folks. I hope you get to spend some time outside this week, and I'll be back very soon with a brand new episode. Bye.